Wanna sleep on me? Fifi, I'm live. Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Tumilola Tosinaribake, and this is Ask the Pediatricians Live. Welcome to another episode. Today's topic, we'll be talking about developmental disabilities in children. Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Tumilola Tosinaribake. We'll be talking about developmental disabilities in children, and our guest today is Dr. Bimisola Boyede. As usual, I'm calling on you to call your friends and family. Come, let's learn together from the professionals about child health intelligence on developmental disabilities in children. Share the video, share it to your walls, call everybody to come sit down, come join us. Um, yes, we're waiting for you. Moderators, please begin to share the videos. Please be on standby as we kickstart. Remember, this is just for 60 minutes. We'll be here for just 1 hour. Any questions at all that you have on disabilities, on developmental disabilities, please bring them in today for Dr. Bumisola. Welcome our viewers. Onyi, you're welcome. Thank you for joining. Good morning to you too. Okay, all right. Dr. Bumisola, can we please start? You're welcome, ma'am.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I was just trying to make sure we have it on our watch party, so we didn't allow us to
Okay.
Anyway, but don't worry. I think I've done that right now. Okay.
Okay,
So,
ma'am.
good morning, everyone, and welcome to Ask the Pediatricians Live. Like Tommy said, today we're going to be talking about developmental disability. And the reason why we're doing this is because in the last few weeks, we've had quite a lot of days so celebrating different developmental disabilities. We've had Down Syndrome Day, we've had Cerebral Palsy Day. So there have been lots of these developmental disability days in the last few weeks. And sometimes from the way people ask questions, you can see that there's a kind of people are not even so sure which one is which. So we decided that it's better we have a forum where we can actually talk about everything, all the various kind of developmental disabilities that are possible. And so thank you so much for joining us. So if you have questions, please drop it in comments and we will answer them. Also, please share the videos. We don't have so much time to share them this morning, but I think I've put it up on the watch party. But you can also share to your page, share to your to other groups and anywhere else where you think people may be interested in joining us this morning. So you're all welcome to ATP Life. Yeah.
All right. What's happening? Where is everybody?
Yeah. We're having a few people there. Onyi is on with us. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I think somebody just waiting for us to share it as well.
Okay. All right. Okay. People, please let's share the videos. Moderators, let's be on standby. Developmental disabilities in children. And please remember, when you're posting your questions, post it on the page itself, not on the watch party. Make sure you are connected to the video direct and you're posting your comments on the video itself.
Okay, so we can start anyway while we're waiting for people to join us.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I think you really want me to give like an overview of
Yes,
what developmental disabilities are.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, so there are two keywords in that topic. So we talk about development and disabilities. So developments, like I always say most of the time when I have opportunity to come on the platform, There are two things that make children unique. Number one, that children grow, and number two, children develop. Those are the two main differences between adults and children, and this is very important for us. Those of us who are pediatricians, so we're always concerned whether our children are growing or not. So you see us talk a lot about nutrition, because that's very key to children growing. If you go to our group, you find that most of the commonly frequently asked questions has to do with nutrition again. But the second thing that also makes children unique is what we're also talking about today, and that is children develop. So you find that a child is born, they are completely an helpless human being. So they depend on another human being for their food, for them to do everything, to move from one place to another, to do everything. They are completely dependent. Now, over time, that child becomes independent. And it is that process from where the child is completely dependent to when the child becomes independence that we refer to as development. And so we all know that, because as mothers, as fathers, as caregivers of children, we expect that at certain ages, children should be able to do certain things. So you expect that maybe by the time they're about 1 year old, the children should be walking. You expect that maybe by the time they are 2 years old, they should be talking. And by the time they are 5 years old, they should be able to go to school and they should be able to learn. And the developments keep going on and on. Now, for some reason, some children may not be able to do these things when we expect them to do it. And that is when we start talking about developmental delays, or sometimes we talk about developmental disabilities. So that's what we're really talking about. So basically, in developmental disabilities, children have some medical conditions, and as a result of those conditions or disease, they are not able to do certain things as at the time we expect them to do them. And so that is what we call developmental disabilities, and we have so many of them. And we'll be talking about, and but what I found out, and which is the reason why we're having this conversation this morning, is that people tend to mix up the developmental disabilities. So you see people talking about when there's a particular disability, they are not sure whether is it they just use one name for all of them. So people think everybody who cannot talk, who cannot walk has Down syndrome, or some people will think it's cerebral palsy, and some people will think, oh, it's mental retardation, which we don't even use anymore. We prefer to use the word intellectual disability. So you find out that there are so many of these disabilities that sometimes people kind of get them mixed up and confused. So this morning I'm going to give us some guidelines on how we can recognize that. Number one, there are so many forms of disabilities. But before we go into that, I think I need to talk about what we call developmental domains. Because that will help us to kind of understand when I say talking about the different category of developmental disabilities itself. Now, when we talk about developmental domains, we have what we call we can group them into, depending on how you want to group them, we can group them into like 4 or 5 or even 6. Now, so we have the developmental domain of what we call the motor domain. The motor domain, sometimes we can break it down into what we call the gross motor and the fine motor. Now, what we call the motor domain in layman language is something that has to do with movements. So the child being able to sit, the child being able to crawl, the child being able to walk, the child being able to run, the child being able to jump. Those are all motor domains. And that's one aspect of development, So you see mother telling me, my child is 1 year old, is not yet walking, they are worried. So that is, but they'll say, oh, every other thing else is fine. So that is gross motor domain. Fine motor domain has to do with the use of the hands. So usually children, when they want to grab something, they grab everything with their own hands. And later on, they start using what we call the pincer grabs. They use just the thumb and the forefinger. Then later the child, when you give them a pencil, for example, they hold the pencil this way. They hold it, what we call palmar grabs, like this. So they hold it in a palmar grabs. Then later they begin to hold it with the way you and I, we hold our pen in what we call, a tripod stand. I don't want to use medical jargon, but they have to put it in a nice way. And so if you see like a 4-year-old holding their pencil this way, you are worried. Those are the fine motor. Then later you see children using fork and knife to eat and those kind of things. Then children being able to do their button, being able to dress up, do their zips and all that. All writing, very fine handwriting, drawing. So anything that has to do with the hands, those are what we call the fine motor skills. So, but we can also group the two together as motor skills. That is one aspect of development, or what we call domain of development, the motor domain. Then you also have another aspect of development, which is the language. And so that's another thing parents ask a lot about. So usually when children are born, they are not talking. Then later on, they begin to smile, then they begin to laugh, then they begin to do what we call babbling. Ma 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 ba 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 ba. That is babbling. Then later on, they begin to say they sing first word. So they start saying mama or papa or dad and all that, and or they may call a particular name or a word that they are used to in the house. Then later on, they move on to start saying single words, cup, biscuits, and then they move on to start combining word mommy, biscuit, and then they move on to start talking in full sentences. So and for the and that is language domain. And language has two parts. The child must be able to hear and understand. So sometimes we even take hearing as a domain on its own, because hearing is a domain on its own. Just that most time we don't people don't worry, because most time children can hear even from birth. Then the child must be able to understand what you're telling them, and then they must be able to now speak it out. So there's what we call the receptive language and the expressive language itself. So that is another domain of development: language, speech, communication. And that's one domain. So you see parents getting worried, oh, my child is not yet talking. So that is one domain of then we also have another domain, what we call personal social domain. This is the child's ability to interact with other people, to be able to recognize other people, and sometimes we also add under this domain what we call the self-help skills. So sometimes some people don't combine them, they put them separate. So personal social, so initially at 6 weeks, children recognize their mother's face and they smile at you and you smile back at them. So those are personal social. Then sometimes they begin to finger feed, they can feed themselves, and they begin to eat by themselves. They can go to the toilet, potty trained, and all those. So those are things around social and self-help skills. So that is another domain. And then we also have the domain what we call intelligence. That is cognitive ability to learn. So children should be able to learn, going to school. This is really more relevant by the time they are starting school. They have their ability to learn and do the schoolwork. So that is also cognitive, or what we call intelligence and all that. So those are the different aspects of developmental domains. You can call gross motor, fine motor, language, personal, social, cognitive. Then we also have vision. Vision is also a development, even though it's always present. And we also have hearing, which is also, so depending on how you break it down, it can be 4, 5, or 6, depending on how you break it down. So these areas are the developmental domains. Now, sometimes the problem can be in one domain alone. So you see a child who is talking, who is smiling, who is hearing, who can say, but the child maybe is not yet walking. And mom, that is a child who has a motor delay, only motor. Sometimes the child, it may just be the speech. So the child is already walking, even at 9 months. The child is doing every other thing, but the child is not yet speaking. So that child has what we call language delay. So, but sometimes the development problem is in all those domains, or at least 2 or more of them. So we call it a global delay. So if the child is not walking, the child is not talking, the child has so those are the different form of disability. So what are the things that will cause disability? Depends. So there are things that cause disabilities or these delays that are intrinsic to the child. So that is how the child is born. So for example, a child with Down syndrome has it's a genetic problem. They have an extra chromosome, so it affects all the cells of the body, and because of that, all the development may be delayed. And then you also have another child there's really nothing wrong with the child, but there's an accident and an injury that happened to the child, happened to the brain, for example. So, for example, a child who didn't cry at birth, a child who didn't who had severe jaundice at birth. these problems damage the brain or injure the brain, and it will affect the child. So depending on which part of the brain is injured, so if it affect the part of the brain that controls movement, it will be more of a physical motor delay or disability that the child will have. So things like cerebral palsy. Sometimes it affects so many areas of the brain that the child will not only have the motor problem, but the child will also have intellectual problem and all that. So there are different kind of disabilities, and they're different. And sometimes the problem is just with the hearing. So for a child who has a hearing impairment or what we call deafness, that is another developmental, or it could just be vision and the child could not see properly. So sometimes it's interwoven into each other depending on the underlying cause of the disabilities. So I'm just trying to let us understand basically that there are different kind of disabilities. There's no one disability. So not every child who is doing what they should be doing has cerebral palsy, and not all of them have Down syndrome. There are so many of them under the genetics, and there are so many of them under what we call the acquired. That is those ones that came after the child has been born. It's not like the child was born with them genetically, but something happened that now led to that particular problem. I hope that makes sense.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much for that overview, ma'am. All
Yeah.
right. Do we have any questions yet?
We don't have question yet. I think people are listening here for my overview. So, but if you have question, please come on, ask your question. I can see all of you are greeting us. And for our moderators, if they have questions on the watch party, come on, try and share with us. Okay. So while we're waiting for the question, I think I'll just keep on
Okay, ma'am.
talking about developmental disabilities. So, what are the common ones? So, there are common ones like most of us are familiar with Down syndrome. Down syndrome is an example of what I call a genetic or something the child is born with kind of disabilities. But it is not only Down syndrome. There are so many syndromes. So we have syndromes like Down syndrome is one, Turner syndrome is another one. There Fragile X syndrome. There are so many syndromes, and some of these syndromes come with one of their components is the fact that the child will be slow with the development, or the child will have a disability. So disability can be all obvious physical disabilities. Sometimes disabilities can be hidden. So, for example, many of us are used to, and I think, Tommy, that's the reason why people always mix up disabilities. Because many of us are used to children who have obvious physical disabilities. So children who
Okay.
are in wheelchair, who cannot walk, and who have some abnormal posture, most of them have cerebral palsy. It's something people can easily see. So immediately they see that child, they know
I
this
know
child has this
exactly.
disability. And even for sometimes for children with Down syndrome, there's a way they look. There's a way they look different, and people immediately they see the way they look, they know that, oh, this child must likely have Down syndrome. But there are some children who also have disabilities that are not
Physical.
physically obvious. So, for example, somebody who is blind, somebody who is deaf, you can easily see it, or you can easily understand why they have that disability. But for example, a child with autism spectrum disorder also has a disability, but you can't see it. So because the children look apparently normal, they don't look different. They look like every other person until you start to interact with them. Then you find out that, oh, you talk to them, they don't answer you, or they don't look at you in your face and all that. Then you begin to suspect, oh, this may be a particular disability. So there are different. So I just want people to understand that it's not only what you see that is a disability. Sometimes there are disabilities that are not quite obvious. All right. So I think I have a question. Yeah. Tell me.
Adeyemi Akintola is asking, can the delay in walking of a child be corrected?
Now, I want to, Akintola, as thank you so much for your question. She has brought forward an important thing I need to also address, and that is the fact between delay and disabilities and disorder. That's another whole different. So a child could be delayed, but not necessarily have a disability. So, for
Okay.
example, a child may not walk at 1 year, but the child started walking at 18 months. or let's say 20 months. Now that child is delayed, but the child eventually will catch up, and that is not a disability.
Disability.
Okay. Now, when we talk about disability, we are talking about uh, children who could not do certain things because of a particular problem. There must be a problem, whether it's in the genes or it's a injury to the brain. Something really happened. So there are children who are just a little bit slower than the other children. We call them late bloomers or slow developers and things like that. They are just slow. There's really nothing wrong with their brain. There's nothing wrong with their genes. There's nothing wrong anywhere. They are just slower. And if you look into the family history of such children, you find out that in their family they tend to work late, or in their family they tend to talk late, and most of those children will eventually catch up and they'll be fine. So those were children that have delay and not disabilities.
Disability.
Now, children with disabilities, there's actually something really wrong, either in the genes or in the brain, or something really happened to them. So that is disability. Now, depending on whether this delay is it a delay or is it a disability. Now, at the beginning, it's very difficult for us, but what we normally do, because you as a mother, you're not sure, and there's one thing we need to correct, because sometimes people always assume everything is a delay.
Okay.
Most Nigerian mothers and most mothers generally also, they just assume everything is a delay. Ah, don't worry. In fact, my own child didn't talk until 4 years old.
Hmm.
And don't worry, you will talk. He's
You
a
would
boy.
talk.
Boy don't talk on time. Oh, he's boy. Boys are lazy. This and that. And mothers will just relax and thinking it will clear. Now, at the beginning, it is difficult for you as a mother or the parent to know whether the child is having a delay or disability. So that is why you need to see the professional. And for us too, we also have given allowance. We've given allowance for children that are having delay and not disability. And that's why we have what we call the cutoff age at which we will worry. So there's an average age where most children will do most things, but there's a age which, if they are not doing it, they've not caught up, we begin to worry that this is just not a delay. This is now becoming something, it may be a disability. And that is why we say, for example, most children work as 1 year, but a pediatrician will tell you that if your child is not working even after 1 year, don't worry. But if by 18 months, so we give an allowance of 6 months. If by
Extra.
18 months the child is now not working, then we begin to think, is this more than
A
just
delay.
a delay, a child is being slow? Is there a disability going on? And especially if there are other problems, it's not like the child is also not working, the child is also not talking, the child is also not doing so many things, then definitely we think, oh, it may be just more than a delay. There may be a disability, and we need to investigate this child. We need to do
Okay.
our blood tests. We need to take history. We need to examine the child. We need to do so many things that will help us to know whether it's just a delay or there is a disability. So depending on the cause of this problem. So that's why the answer to Adeyemi's question is neither a yes or a no. For example, if a child who is not yet working, because you didn't even tell me at what age of this child.
Age.
So
Okay.
I need to know that first. I need to know whether there are other issues or whether that's the only problem. So, for example, if this child is like 14 months, I would not even classify
All
it
the
as
thing.
delay.
Delay.
I would just say, okay, but if you tell me now this child is 2 years old, then I would think, oh, yes, this is maybe a disability. Then my question is, what is causing it? For example, a child with Down syndrome may not walk until 2 years, but they will eventually walk because they based on our knowledge of them, we know they will eventually walk, but they have a problem. But sometimes for a child, some children with cerebral palsy we never walk. Some will walk, some will never walk. So it depends on the problem. It depends on the severity of the problem. Those are the things that will help us to know to answer the question. So the question is neither a yes or a no. It
So,
depends on what's the underlying
okay.
problem. Yeah. So
All
I
right.
think
Thank you.
I've answered that
Yes, ma'am.
correctly. Let's move on
Next
to the
question.
next question.
Joy Adeko is asking, how old is a child expected to start talking properly?
Okay. I'm trying to scroll off my question. Sorry.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So Joy is asking how old is your child expected to talk properly? So now it depends on what you mean by talk properly. So sometimes, so like I said, the rule of the thumb is that a 1 year old child should have at least a single word. You should have a single word that they are using. A child who is 2 years old should be combining two words together, minimum two words. A 3 year old child should be combining three words, sentences, okay? And a 4 year old should be able to talk like an adult. A 4 year old should be talking like an adult with full tenses, grammatical, correct grammars, and things like that. So those are our what we call our guidelines for you to know what you should expect from a child. So if you have a child, a 1 year old who has no word, I will worry. If you have a 2 year old who is not yet combining words together, I will worry. If you have a 3 year old who is not yet speaking sentences, I will worry. If you have a 4 year old who is not talking clearly like an adult, I will worry about them. All right. And if
Okay.
you worry, what you need to do is to see your pediatrician and or speech therapists. Yeah.
Therapist. All right. Thank you, ma'am. Onishile Temiloluwa is asking, what are the likely ways meningitis could affect a child's development?
Yes, meningitis could affect a child's development. I don't know what you mean by what are the likely ways. Just a minute.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so I'm not sure what you mean by likely, but meningitis is an infection in the brain, in the covering of the brain. So, a child with meningitis can recover completely without any disabilities, depending on how soon you start
Severe.
the treatments, how early you present to the hospital, and all that. And depending on the type of meningitis it is, when we say type of meningitis, we talk about the particular bacteria or the particular organism causing the meningitis. So,
Okay.
but most of meningitis, some will have complications, and the complication that can happen can be any form of developmental disabilities. So, meningitis can cause hearing impairments, and that is deafness, for example, and meningitis can also cause learning difficulties. So some children will have intellectual disabilities, some children will have cerebral palsy, depending on the age of the child as well, at the time they have the meningitis.
Meningitis.
So it could even kill some children, to be honest. So it depends. So meningitis can, and it can slow down a child. So you see a lot of parents, the child was already walking, the child was already doing so many things before they have meningitis, and all of a sudden they have meningitis, and then they couldn't walk again, they couldn't do so many things again. And it's always a very painful thing for parents because this child was developing well. So that is why one of the reasons we don't want children to have meningitis, because it's one of those what I call acquired causes of developmental disabilities. So,
All
but
right.
but important thing is that when you see a child, when a child has meningitis, that child must go for regular follow-up with a pediatrician so that we can monitor the child's development. That's what we normally do. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, ma. Next question is Adedeji Olayemi. Is autism genetic?
Yeah, well, we think autism is one condition we are not 100% sure of the cause, but we know that there is some genetic undertone, and genetic is one of the most important reason why children who have autism. And the reason why we think like that is because we found out that boys 4 times are more likely to have autism than girls. So there must be something that make it that is more boys. And we found some genes, some genetic conditions. People who have those genetic conditions are more likely to have autism than those who don't have those genetic conditions. For example, people with Fragile X syndrome likely have autism. People with Rett syndrome. These are genetic conditions, and the rate of autism in them is higher than those who don't have those particular genetic conditions. And we found out that if a family, one person already has autism, there are more likelihood for members of that family. So I have children.
Yeah.
I have families that my patient that for all the boys have autism,
Wow.
like that. Even dad has autism. So it's something like that. So there is a lot. But the question people always will not ask is which gene. But the truth is that we've had over 200 genes already associated with autism. So it is not one particular gene. So
Gene.
we also think that there may be an interplay of not only the gene but the environment as well. So
Yes.
it's a little bit
Okay.
complex. But let's just say the short answer is yes to your question.
Glory Ezeji is asking, does sugar disturb the growth of children?
Okay, what do you mean by sugar? I mean taking too much sugar or excess sugar because children normally everybody will take sugar. All of us need sugar. You need sugar for growth. But when we talk about sugar, you mean white sugar. That's what I'm interpreting it to mean. You mean the white sugar, and we don't want you to give children white sugar a lot because it's not good for them. And so we want children to eat healthy food and we don't want them to be stuck on sugar because what also we call sugar baby syndrome, where the babies are just big but they really have having malnutrition in codes. So it's better you give your children natural sugar. In other words, let them take the fruits and get the sugar directly from the fruits. Let them take their normal food and get the sugar from it, but not the white sugar added to everything. And that means you have to take away all those chunks, all those pastries, all those things that have too much sugar in them. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, ma. Uwa Chinelo is asking, good morning, ma. My child of 2 years, 4 months still staggers while running and does not do very well intellectually. She had jaundice after birth. What could be done?
Okay, so most likely that child is I don't know how severe the jaundice is because I've not seen your child and you're not giving a lot of information. But you are the one making the association now between the jaundice and the staggering. But the question I need to ask you is how bad was the jaundice because sometimes there are some things that happen, they are coincidence, they are not really like cause and effect. So the fact that maybe had jaundice does not mean it's what is causing this or intellectual
Okay.
disability or the staggering. But if you are telling me that the child has severe jaundice and the doctors already told you there's a likelihood that the child will have complication because we always tell parents when we manage their child for severe jaundice and we think it is that jaundice will likely cause some problem later on in life, we always make sure we tell you because and then a 2-year-old, how do you know a 2-year-old is not doing well intellectually? That child is still so young. Because so that's why I'm really very cautious to answer your question because I'm not so sure whether you are just a worried mom or there's actually a problem. Number one, a 2-year-old running, expect them not to run perfectly at two. I'm not so worried about that unless the child is really falling so frequently and all that, Then intellectual disability, how do you assess the child's intellect at two? Because it's even myself as a pediatrician, there's a limit to what we can do at that age. So for the fact that your child is walking and running with severe jaundice at two, I will not worry so much about that child, honestly. But I don't know what there's. But if you tell me, for example, that your child is not talking and it's not that, I will even worry more. But now running and staggering, I'm not really so sure this jaundice was that severe to cause this problem. To be honest, because I think Adedeji, you need to give me more information, really, for
No,
me
it's
to.
Chinelo.
Oh, sorry. I think Chinelo, you need to give me more information for me to be able to answer your question very well. You need to tell me how severe the jaundice was, and you need to tell me whether there are other issues these babies having, and what it is that the baby is not doing that makes you think the baby is having problem with intellectual functioning. I really need to have that information. If not, I don't even want to know whether I'm not even sure there's a problem with this child first before we go on to talk about whether it's a jaundice problem and what can be done. Because what can be done depends on if there's a problem. For example, a 2-year-old who is running but staggering, but not that the child is falling every time, I will not even worry. I'm not going to do anything about it. So, but if there are other issues, then I may do something about that. If the child cannot stand, if the child is falling while walking, then I will worry about that. Okay.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Adede Jolayemi is asking, what can be wrong in a child of 3 years that does not communicate in talking at all, but hears and does whatever you tell her to do? Is there any disability?
Yes, of course. So a 3-year-old who is not talking at all, that's your word. It's not talking at all. There is a problem. There is a problem because a 3-year-old should be combining three words together. So if a 3-year-old is not talking at all, I am definitely worried about that 3-year-old. And there are many possible things, but you said he does whatever you tell you to do. So that means the child could hear. So there's no problem with receptive language, but there's a
Age,
problem with expressive
expressive.
language. Even though then I found out that most time parents' ability to gauge what a receptive language is actually flawed. So sometimes parents will say, "Go and bring that thing." They already
You
pointed
pointed.
the child to bring. It
Okay.
doesn't need the child understand, but the child can use his eyes to gauge what's safe.
Mm-hmm.
So I always tell them, if you tell the child, go to your room and bring your shoes, for example, if the child can actually go to their room, because let's say the room is upstairs or a separate place where you can actually physically point it out, then that will tell me there is a problem and all that. So we really rely on the speech therapist doing a proper assessment for us. So sometimes the problem is both the receptive and the expressive, but parents usually worry more about the
Not the expressive.
because receptive, the child can always get away with it, but the expressive, everybody knows that the child is not talking. And the 3-year-old who is not talking, there is a problem. And this is one of the reasons we are having this kind of conversation this morning, because we need to create the awareness. Because one of the things I found out in our culture, especially this us in Africa, is that people always reassure you when it comes to developmental problems. Yeah, I'm sure somebody must have told this mom, don't worry, the 3-year-old, in fact, my own child didn't talk on the 4-year-old. Now you can't keep quiet. Now, it is true that there are some children that just have delay. You know, I've explained it before. That
Yes.
they are just the slow, but sometimes some children actually have disability. But if you don't know which is which, you won't do the right thing. And the earlier we start the intervention, the better for the children. So a 3-year-old who is not talking should be seen a speech therapist, minimum. Should have seen a pediatrician who is going to evaluate the child. So definitely there's a problem, and that child should be seen. And there are many possible causes of disabilities in a child who is not talking. It could be, like you said, you are so sure the child could hear, but one of the first things we want to do is to test the hearing. Whether you think the child can hear or not, we need to do it. We must do it. We must do the hearing test in this child and pull the hearing impairment, because sometimes children could hear partly, but they are not hearing well. There are different degrees of deafness. We have mild, moderate, severe. So it's not everybody who is completely deaf. So you need to focus on the hearing test, and the speech therapist will say the child. So it could be autism, it could be even just intellectual disability, it could be anything. But the most important thing is that we see the child and know what to do. But definitely, I'm worried about a 3-year-old who is not talking at all. I'm definitely worried about the child. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Doctor. Adede, you read from the doctor.
Yeah.
Um, Kelena Gloria is asking, is there a problem when a child born at 28 weeks is doesn't sit unassisted at 7 months?
Okay, now, so that brings me to another. Thank you for that question, Kalema. Okay, so now for children that are born premature, we really need to also look at them in a different way. So children who are born before um, 40 completed weeks, or before 37 weeks, because we start counting time from 37 weeks, we do what we call corrected age for them. In other words, we need to, even though you are looking at them as 7 months old, they are actually not 7 months old. From
Okay.
They are not 7 months old from the pediatrician's perspective. They are actually younger than that. So for your baby who was born at 28 week, I will remove 3 months from the age of that child. So that child was born 12 weeks earlier than 40 weeks. 12 weeks is 3 months. So I'm going to take out 3 months from the age of the child. So from you now, you told me this child is now 7 months old, but this child is actually 4 months old.
4 months.
Corrected age is 4 months old. So for development purposes, we use the corrected age. So the corrected age for this child is 4 months. And if a 4 month old is not sitting, I am not
Mhm.
worried. What I want to ask is that can the child control the neck? Because that's what I expect at 4 months old. So if the child is able to control the neck at 4 months old, that is within normal, and that is what I want. And normally, apart from after even correcting the age, you need to remember that children with prematurity are prone to having disabilities. Is one of the complications. So we really need to monitor the development well. So if you are not seeing a pediatrician, because I believe that if you are seeing your pediatrician, this question they would have addressed it already. It is important that all premature babies are followed up by a pediatrician. So it's important that you see your pediatrician and they see you like almost a monthly or 2 monthly or 3 months. They must be seeing the child. And we monitor not only the weight, but we also monitor the development. So for your child, I'm not worried for now. Yeah, Kelechi, because Kele, nah, sorry.
Kelina.
The child's age is actually from our own perspective, the child age is actually 4 months, so that's the corrected age, and not what you have, not 7 months. So don't worry about the child. Is the child controlling the neck? Yes, that's what we want to know now. Okay,
Okay, all right. Thank you, doctor.
I think we've answered Gloria's question about
Yes.
yeah.
Ogechi Uju is
Mm.
asking, my baby of 1 year, 7 months has not started talking. Do I worry?
So when mother said talking, what is talking? Okay, so in 1 year, again, I'll keep saying it until we all remember. And I always like to use the rule of the thumb. So a 1 year old child should have at least one word
One
or
word.
single words. Not necessarily one word, but at least single words. At least you have
Saying
at
single
least
words.
one. You should have between 1 to 3 words. A 2 year old child should be combining words together. You should be able to say things like mommy biscuits, mommy go, that kind of word, that kind of combination. That's 2 year old, 2 word phrases. A 3 year old should have 3 word sentences. So if your 1 year, 7 month old has no word at all, I will worry a little bit, but most speech therapists will say let's wait until the child is 2 years. If by 2 years there's no word at all, you should see a speech therapist. But before you see the speech therapist at 2, there are things you can do as a parent to promote the child's language development. So if you go to Ask the Pediatricians group, there's under our units. Units is where you can learn quite. If you want to learn a particular topic, you go to unit section. There's a unit section on uh, parents do it yourself kind of speech therapy. Like what parents can do to promote their own children's speech and language.
Speech.
Now,
Okay.
speech doesn't start from talking. It actually starts from playing. I don't know how to explain this. Okay, let me try. So basically, when I say dog, you don't think of you don't think of dog. You actually think of a picture of a dog.
Of the animal, yeah.
That is exactly. So in other words, we have used the word dog to represent this particular animal. And in
Yeah.
another person's language, like in my own local native language, is aja. In English, is dog. So it doesn't matter what we use, but as long as all of us understand that when we say AJA, it is referring to this particular animal. When the English person say DOG, is referring to this particular animal. Now, what that means is that children must be able to do what we call symbolic play, pretend play, before they can understand language. And so that is the same thing. So before the children start talking, they must have that ability to understand pretend. Because that's actually what we're doing. But that we are using something to represent something. And that is what the speech therapists are interested in. So is that child pretending, taking this pen, for example, and pretending it's a microphone and using it to sing? That ability
Mm.
must be present first before the child can now begin to say a microphone is this particular thing. You understand the point? So,
Yes, ma'am.
so what we normally do is that we want parents to play with their children first before they begin to speak. And so these days, parents just leave the children with the tablet, the gadget, the devices. No, you need to do individual thing with the children. So that's what we want you to do first. All right, but basically, go to our unit section, go to those sections. There are lots of information for you on what you as a person can be doing, why you can, how to encourage your children to play. I hope that is helpful. Okay, let's move on quickly. Our time is running quickly.
Yes.
Um,
Our next question is from Timidolua.
yeah, okay.
Hello, doctor. How does microcephaly affect a child's development?
Thank you. So, microcephaly, for those who don't understand the medical jargon, is a condition where a child is has a small head. Now, small
Oh,
head.
okay.
Now, it's not everybody that look like they have a small head that have microcephaly. We actually measure it
Measure the
and we put it in
circumference.
a chart to know whether it's within normal or not. Because some people just have a normal, they are small. Everything about them is small. Not they don't have microcephaly. So and that's why when time you go to the pediatric clinic and you see your pediatrician bringing out a pro, we are not planning to sew cap or clothes for your children. We are actually measuring their head size. And why do we measure the head size? Because the head size for us is a measure of the brain growth. If you remember some of our ATP life before, the brain is one of those organs in the body that is not fully formed at birth. The brain is still developing. In fact,
Yeah.
the 90% of the brain development occur in the first 5 years of life. So it is important for us to measure that the brain is developing. And one of the way we measure it, because what makes your head grow bigger is your brain. Nothing else. It is the brain that is growing bigger that makes our head grow bigger. So maybe those who have big head are actually that those have big brain. Not too much because too big brain as well, too big head. What we call macrocephaly is also a problem. But anyway, that's another discussion for you there. So basically, if a child has microcephaly, it's a sign that the brain is not growing well. And the question is, why is the brain not growing? That is what we need to know. And that child will likely have a developmental disability because most children whose brain are not developing, in fact, one of the way by which you know that this child will likely have a developmental disability. That's why I say if a child has delay and they come to us and we pick up the fact that the child also has a small head or a microcephaly, it's also a way for us to know that this is not just ordinary delay. This child is going to have a disability because the brain is not developing properly. So microcephaly just means small head. It's just a pointer to the fact that the brain is not growing properly. Now the question is, what is causing the brain not to grow? Is this something long time? Is this something permanent? Is this something that will change? Those are the things that we need to. So some babies are born that way. Maybe they have infection in the womb. It's affected the brain of the baby. The mother has an infection which affects the baby in the womb, what we call congenital infections, the brain will be small. Or the child didn't cry at birth, so the brain is not growing. Sometimes there's a malformation of the brain itself, and that is why the brain is not growing. So whatever it is, the microcephaly is not even the problem, but it's a pointer to the pediatrician that this child's brain is not growing for a particular reason, and that may explain why the child is having developmental disability.
All right. Thank you, doctor.
Yeah.
Temitopa is asking, my 4-year-old boy stammers. Is there a way I can get help for him for his speech to be clear and stop stammering?
Okay, so thank you so much, Temitope. So the question is, why is the child stammering in the first place? There are different reasons why children stammer, and most of the time it's because they are stressed, they're under pressure. And the first thing you need to do is to take out the pressure from them. Let them talk, give them time. I know it's so difficult for those of us that are listening to them to actually give a stammerer the time they need. Number one, the first thing you want to do is that you don't want to draw their attention to the stammer. You want to take it as something normal, and then you can just listen to them. Let them say whatever they want to say. Don't try and hurry up a stammerer along. You are going to make them more anxious, and they're going to stammer them more. So you want to just give them the pressure. And sometimes children at this age, they go through that phase where they just stammer a little bit and then it goes off. It's not like something major is happening. So, Temitope, if you go to our group again, because our speech therapist has answered that question several times, and she has given you strategies, what you can do to help a stammerer. Number one, you want to take off pressure off them. You want to relax them. You want to tell them, take your time, say what you want to say, because they are trying to say so much, and then they are under pressure, they are under stress. So you just take off that. Don't point the attention to it. Don't keep on harassing them. Just do that fast, and before you know it, then they'll be fine. So, but there are more strategies, and if you try some of those strategies, you think the child is stammering, you can see a speech therapist. If you think you need more help, but like I said, most of the time it's a face and it's a go, and you want to take up whatever is causing the pressure. All right.
Okay, Chioma Nwachukwu is asking, is it normal for a newborn to shake one of his leg and mouth occasionally as if he's shivering?
That's a very tricky one, because um, there are two possibilities here. There what we call a child could actually be having convulsions. That's actually the worrisome one. Number two, it could just be some what we call benign myoclonus. I know it's a little bit difficult for parents to get the difference. So what I would recommend is to see a pediatrician first. Let them see the child. If possible, what you need to do for us, take a video of that evidence, that episode, and let us know. Take a what we call a diary of how frequently it is happening. These are things that will make your life very easy for your pediatrician to know. So when does it happen? Is it when the child is about to go to sleep, or is it when the child is sleeping, or is it something that happens in the day, even when the child is fully awake and all that? Take a video recording of the event. Take a diary, and each time it happens, keep it down, and then go and see your pediatrician with those information. So there's a way we will know. Sometimes when we see the video, sometimes depending on how often it happens, on the time it happens, we can quickly know, oh, this is not a seizure, this is just a myoclonic, benign myoclonus. But sometimes there's a way we see it, we know, oh, this is a convulsion, sometimes we are not sure as well. Then we do what we call an EEG and all those things that measure the electrical activity of the brain, and that will help us to know, oh yes, the child is having seizure, oh no, the child is not having seizure, and then we will be able to advise you appropriately. Some children will also have it when they have low blood sugar or low calcium in their blood. There are many things. So for a newborn baby, I really prefer you see a pediatrician, not just any doctor, a pediatrician, because they are the one that can really help you know which is which, so that you can get the right support. I hope that's helpful.
All right. Chioma, you read from the doctor. Please see a
Yeah.
pediatrician. Falashade is asking, good
Uh,
morning, doctor. A child of 2 years, 10 months who talks whenever she wants to wee or poo and uses potty on her own. But these days she wee on herself and immediately tells you she has wee. But she doesn't do that at school. Is there something to worry about?
okay. I'm trying to figure out where the question is. Sorry, I'm
10:46.
10 what?
10:46.
Okay, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So yeah, a child of 2 year old who uses what we, and now we on assignment. They tell you she has we, but she doesn't do that at school. Okay, I think that child is looking for your attention somehow. The child is trying to get your attention. You are actually denying that kind of attention. And what you need to do is to correct the child and tell her, please, before you do the we, you should first tell me, and take her to the potty, because obviously the child knows the potty before, and the child has been using the potty before, according to you. So the child is now just doing it. Sometimes children go to school and they see the other children who just wee on themselves. And the child actually think, oh, that's cool. And I mean, I don't really need to go to potty, because they don't know that that is actually not cool. So children can learn things from other people which are not proper, or sometimes they are just attention seeker. Obviously, this child comes to you and tell you after she has done the wee. I would say she's somebody who is an attention seeker. So what you need to do is to give her more time, more room, and let the child tell you. Tell her, A, B, C. Whenever you want to wee, for tell me. Then I'll take it to the potty. Or you tell her before you wee, go to the potty. Sometimes you may have to retrain her again on how to use the potty. So maybe you start taking her to the potty every 2 hours or every 3 hours, whether she wants to wee or not. It doesn't matter. The child just sits on it, and after 5 minutes you bring her out. So, but sometimes the children just, maybe you are too busy and they just really want to get your attention. So I think
Attention.
just try and look into that, and I think that will be okay.
All
Uh,
right. Thank you, doctor. Amarachi Nwosu is asking, How do we help a 1052?
10:52. Okay.
How do
Sorry, I
we
think
help?
my
No
system is a little
problem.
bit slow this morning.
How do
Okay.
we help a 3-year-old child who has just few words like mommy, daddy, sleeping, take brush, take your bath, sorry, etc., but can't really combine? A pediatrician is talking about diagnosis because she has low interaction, but she plays very well. No communication as much. Could it be autism, and can she outgrow it since she has some words?
Okay, so obviously you are worried about autism. Let's just say that. And I think I am also worried about autism because you said there's no interaction, but at the same time, you said she can play and all that. Children with autism can play, but how are they playing? Are they playing on their own? Or are they playing with other children? Are they doing interactive? So Amarachi, what you can do for me, first, if you go online, Google MCHAT, MCHAT. Even though your child is a little bit above the age for MCHAT, but go and try that first and do the screening online. There are some questions they will ask you. Just be honest, do the screening, then they will give you a feedback on what your child scored. So they will tell you whether your child needs to be further evaluated or not. So these are things you can do online by yourself. And if you're getting that feedback that the child needs further evaluation, number one, a 3-year-old who is the kind of what your 3-year-old is saying is not appropriate for a 3-year-old. So the child's speech is delayed. Now, for autism, what will make it autism is for that the child also has poor social interaction, and two, the child have what we call some repetitive behavior. I didn't see you mention that. So you may want to look at that. Does the child have repetitive behavior? Like, is the child the kind of that will spin around in circle, or they will jump, or they will open and close door, or they will switch on off the light, or they will line up toys, things like that. Is the child doing those things? Or does the child have rigid behavior? They must sit on a particular chair, or they must eat a particular food, or they want to eat the same food every day if you allow them. Those kind of rigidity, those kind of repetitive behavior, if those ones are also present, coupled with this speech delay, coupled with this lack of social interaction, definitely I will worry about autism, and then we can support the child. So autism is a lifelong diagnosis. People don't outgrow it per se. That's the way we like to refer to it, but they can overcome the difficulties. So the child can learn to talk, the child can learn to interact, the child can learn to stop doing the repetitive behavior. We can work on that. But the most important thing is for to have a diagnosis, and then we can support the child with whatever the child needs to. So, first thing you need to do is I can see that your pediatrician is involved already. So let
Yes.
the pediatrician continue the evaluation, maybe with the speech therapists, and they can advise. But because I know we don't have so many developmental pediatricians in Nigeria, if you do that MCHAT screening first, and then you can let if you still have more concern, you can post this on the Facebook group after this, and I can see how to support you and how to what to recommend. So because I know sometimes we struggle, or you may want to go to like a teaching hospital setting, pediatric neurology, or if they have a developmental clinic, that they may also be able to help you with the assessment. And it's better just get it out of the way. Just know it's whichever way the child still needs support. Whether if it's only for speech, the child needs support, or if there are other things, then we can provide more support for the child. Please go ahead. Yeah. All right. Our time is gone. Let's move. Let's answer the remaining few questions and we'll close. Tommy. Okay. Tommy, are you there? Rebecca is asking, what is the difference between disability and delay? And I think I've answered that already. So in delay, the children will eventually catch up, but in disabilities, they have an underlying cause of the particular problem. So that is the difference. Uh, Zainab is asking, um, my 8-year-old son can be absent-minded and talk to himself sometimes, especially after watching a program. How can I stop him talking to himself? Zainab, I think your child needs to be properly evaluated. We need to know what is the cause of this problem. So I will recommend that you get to see a pediatrician who will be able to assist you with the child. So kindly see a pediatrician first, and then let us know what is the problem, what is causing this child's problem, what is making it be absent minded, what is making him talk to himself. Then we can support you with that. And the final question here, guys, we almost get this go. Veronica is asking, a child of 2 months, 8 months plus that is not crawling or but uses his body and just wants to get up straight. Please, should I be worried? No, no, no. You don't need to be worried. To be honest, some children will never crawl. They don't crawl. There are people that don't crawl. There are people that are bottom shuffled, and some just get up and walk. They don't crawl. So some people skip some milestones. That's fine. And at 8 months, I'm not worried at all. Some children actually walk first, then you start to crawl. It can be quite complex, but I'm not worried about your child. All right, so thank you so much, everyone, for joining us this morning. I don't know, Tommy disappeared. I'm sure she will come back. So basically, we've been talking about developmental disabilities. We've talked about the difference between developmental delay and a disability. And for me, the most important thing is the fact that we need to recognize when children developments are not appropriate. If you go to our Facebook group, we have posts on what is normal development and at what age should you be worried. So I'll just give you a few of them before we close, and that is the take-home message. For example, if a 18-month-old child is not yet walking, you should worry about it, and you should see your developmental pediatrician or even just your general pediatrician first. Or a child who is 2 years old, who is not talking at all, who doesn't have any words or who is not combining words, you should see a doctor for further evaluation. And of course, if child are not interacting or they are slow with their learning and all that, then you definitely need to see your pediatrician. So this morning is about telling us there are different kind of developmental disabilities. Even we have already given some allowances for delays, but it's not everything that is delayed. There may be more. And the only way we know is when the child is properly evaluated. So you should make sure you see a pediatrician. And the reason why it's important is because the earlier we start the intervention, the better. Because children's brain are still a little bit plastic, especially in the first 5 years of life. So when they start therapies, the outcome is definitely much, much better than if we delayed, say maybe they are now in school and they are now struggling. So we want you to regularly, ideally in our, the way you monitor the weights and the heights, and you monitor the immunization status, there should actually be a page in your booklet that is about development. So if you don't have it in your booklet, that's not a problem. You can go online and just Google normal child development checklist, and you can print it and put it by yourself. I'm sure some of you know what I'm talking about because you have it in your red book or your child's immunization booklets or whatever book you use in your clinic for the child, where you can actually check the development of your child, and you should check it 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. What should the child be doing? Is the child doing it? And if the child is not really doing them, if you go to our group, there's also a checklist of when should you be worried about developmental delay, and we've written in there, if at this age the child is not doing this, then see a pediatrician. If at this age the child is not doing this, see a pediatrician. So those are the things that you really need to check and make sure you get in touch with your pediatrician as soon as you can. So thank you so much for joining me this morning. And this program has been brought to you courtesy of Ask the Pediatrician Foundation. We really want to thank those of you that supported us, and especially for our global giving that ended last week, and we were able to graduate, and we are now a recognized member of global giving. So thank you so much. But just to let you know that our outreach is still coming up in May, and we will definitely need lots and lots of your support. So if you want to support us, you can go to our Ask Pediatrician Facebook group. You can still donate to us on Global Giving, which is where we because we're now a permanent member of Global Giving, so you can always donate to us on Global Giving as well. And apart from that, you can also give to us directly to our accounts. I'm trying to look for the flyers. Just bear with me. Yes, that's it. You can also donate to us directly on our Nigerian accounts, and just know that everything you give to us pediatricians go straight into supporting the children. Apart from what we do online, we also do offline community outreaches to reach those children who cannot come online, to reach those families who cannot come online, who also need this kind of information, and also to give them curative and preventive care. So if you want to support us, we'll be very grateful, and you can always donate directly to our Facebook account. So thank you so much. It's been my pleasure being with you this morning. And just know that if you want to watch old videos, they are all on our Facebook group, our Facebook page. If you have questions, kindly post your questions on our Facebook group. We will answer your questions 24/7. Please do not put it under the video after we have gone off live, because we won't be able to answer the question. But if you put it on the Facebook group, one of our professionals, one of our moderators will be able to answer your questions anytime. We don't answer questions on Sundays, but we answer your question Monday to Saturdays, 24 hours. So kindly post your question there and we will answer you. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Bye.